Our story begins with a poor young man named Simo, who works as a servant in the mansion of a powerful billionaire. Before long, he develops a forbidden desire for the wealthy man's wife. But once the husband starts to suspect what's going on, everything takes a terrifying turn, leading to shocking twists no one could ever see coming. We begin with Will, an influential billionaire living in a luxurious mansion with his wife, Ramona. His power runs so deep that he has hired police officers specifically to serve as his personal security. On this day, they're expecting a new servant named Simo. On the way to the mansion, Simo sits in the back of a police SUV, terrified. Officer James is behind the wheel, chatting casually with his partner, while another officer named Mona sits beside Simo in the back seat. Suddenly, without anyone noticing, Mona begins flirting with him. Boldly, she places her hand on his body, teasing him and trying to excite him. Frozen in shock, Simo doesn't know how to react, while she smiles mischievously, clearly amused by his embarrassment. Meanwhile, the two officers in the front remain completely oblivious. When they arrive at the mansion, Simo can barely keep his legs from shaking. James greets Will with a warm hug. Will is a former military officer who later hired James as his personal bodyguard, and James is the one who brought Simo to work at the estate. The moment Will sees the young man, he immediately likes him and calls for his wife, Ramona, to bring the welcome bonus. Then Ramona appears. She's breathtakingly beautiful, and her presence instantly captures everyone's attention. The moment Simo lays eyes on her, he can't stop staring, completely mesmerized by her beauty. Meanwhile, Will is in high spirits, completely unaware of the fire that's about to consume his own home. That night, the mansion is packed with guests, music, dancing, and drinks. Amid all the noise, poor Simo stands alone, unable to take his eyes off Ramona. As the party goes on, Will drinks heavily and jokes around with everyone. But after someone accidentally bumps into him, his mood changes instantly. He loses his temper, smashes a glass, and yells at Ramona at the top of his lungs. Terrified, Ramona rushes over, trying to calm him down and soothe his anger. Once he finally settles down, she gently leads him upstairs to their bedroom, and begins trying to seduce him. But just as things begin to heat up, Simo happens to walk past the room and overhears them. Ramona is startled, but Will notices Simo outside and immediately snaps at him, ordering him to get lost. Standing outside the room, Simo can hear Ramona's moans, and the desire burning inside him only grows stronger. Another maid, Sophia, notices him standing there and casually says, "Don't overthink it. They're like this every single night. Just focus on your job." Inside the bedroom, however, the night doesn't go as planned. After drinking far too much, Will suddenly becomes sick and quickly passes out in a deep sleep. Frustrated and furious, Ramona storms downstairs and asks Sophia to clean his clothes. As she walks away, her eyes lock with Simo's for a long, silent moment, a look that says everything without a single word. The next morning, Simo is cleaning the garden while keeping himself busy with his phone. Nearby, Ramona pretends to read a magazine, but in reality, she can't stop watching him. Simo notices her staring and nervously steals glances in her direction. Meanwhile, Sophia serves Will a glass of juice. After finishing it, he heads upstairs to take a shower. The moment he's gone, Ramona finally tries to strike up a conversation with Simo, but she quickly loses her composure and stumbles over her words. Upstairs, Sophia enters the bathroom where Will is showering. One brief glance between them is enough to reveal the truth. They're clearly having a secret affair. It's obvious that Will finds a level of excitement and satisfaction with the maid that he no longer finds with his own wife. Later, Will leaves the mansion for work with his bodyguard James, and the house finally grows quiet. Ramona begins drinking on her own. Sophia approaches to ask if she needs anything, but Ramona coldly brushes her off. By now, suspicion has taken over her mind, and she's convinced Sophia is betraying her with her husband. Feeling lonely and emotionally consumed, Ramona walks onto the balcony with another drink in hand. Looking down, she notices Simo swimming alone in the pool. At that moment, desire gets the better of her. She pours herself another drink and heads downstairs. The moment Simo sees her approaching, he panics and quickly climbs out of the pool, trying to leave. But Ramona stops him. With complete confidence, she orders him to sit beside her. Simo feels embarrassed because he's not wearing a shirt. Smiling flirtatiously, Ramona looks him in the eyes and asks, "So, don't you find me attractive?" Simo stammers nervously, "You're the lady of the house, and I'm just a servant." Sensing his hesitation, Ramona decides to lower his guard. She tells him, "I only married that old man for his money. I come from a poor family, just like you." Those few words shatter the distance between them. For the first time, Simo doesn't see her as the wealthy lady of the mansion, but as a woman openly trying to win him over. They sit together, sharing cigarettes, and every quiet moment between them speaks louder than words. The next day, Will returns home carrying a bag full of cash, locks it inside his closet, and later takes Simo out on a fishing trip. Surrounded by the peaceful silence, Simo opens up about his past, telling Will that both of his parents passed away and that his biggest dream is to continue his education. His story genuinely touches Will. Without hesitation, he promises to pay for Simo's education himself. Simo is stunned by the man's kindness and can't help feeling grateful toward the very person whose wife has been trying to lure him into a forbidden relationship. When they return to the mansion, Simo gives the exhausted Will a massage while Ramona sits nearby, unable to take her eyes off him. The tension in the room is impossible to ignore. That night, Ramona enters the room to check on her husband. While pretending everything is normal, she secretly brushes her hand against Simo's in a brief but unmistakably bold touch, silently sending him a clear message about what she wants. Later, Simo returns to his room and discovers an elegant birthday gift waiting for him from Ramona. Overwhelmed with happiness, he falls asleep with a smile on his face. The following morning, while he's working in the garden, Ramona catches his eye and silently asks whether he liked the gift. Simo answers with a shy smile, making it obvious how happy it made him. Ramona's face instantly lights up. But someone else notices the exchange. Sophia catches the looks they share and begins to suspect that something is going on between them. Back in her room, Ramona drifts into a passionate fantasy. In her imagination, Simo walks toward her, and she completely gives in to her desire. But at the very peak of the fantasy, Simo's face suddenly transforms into Will's. She jolts awake, breathing heavily. Still shaken, she rushes downstairs, only to be met with the biggest shock of her life. There sits Will, openly flirting with Sophia right in front of her. As Sophia begins taking off her clothes, Ramona stands frozen in place. In that instant, every bit of dignity she thought she still had is completely shattered. That heartbreak becomes the final push toward a reckless decision. Unable to hold back her emotions, Ramona walks to the lakeside and breaks down in tears. Simo notices her sitting there alone, approaches quietly, and hands her an embroidered handkerchief with her name stitched onto it. The thoughtful gesture brings a faint smile to her face. Then Simo gently asks, "What's wrong?" But she can't bring herself to say a single word. Unable to put her feelings into words, Ramona remains silent. So Simo begins opening up instead, telling her how life has beaten him down and how much hardship he's endured. As she listens, she lets her guard down and leans into his embrace. For the first time, they both feel a sense of comfort and peace in each other's arms. That night, Will throws another wild party. The drinking doesn't stop until sunrise, and as the night spirals out of control, he demands that Ramona join the chaos. She refuses, so he humiliates her in front of everyone, treating her roughly before all the guests. Watching from a distance, Simo's blood boils with anger, but there's nothing he can do. Defeated, he walks back to his room. A few moments later, Sophia tells him that Will wants to see him. Simo enters the room and finds Will completely drunk, holding a pistol in his hand. In a heavy voice, Will asks, "Have you been fooling around with my wife behind my back?" Simo freezes, unable to get a single word out. But it soon becomes clear that Will isn't really questioning him. He's only trying to humiliate Ramona. Ignoring Simo, Will turns toward his wife and assaults her by force in front of him, determined to punish her for embarrassing him at the party. When it's over, Will walks away, leaving Ramona emotionally shattered while Simo stands frozen in helplessness. Finally, he walks over to her, breaks down in tears beside her, and shares her pain. The next morning, as Will is leaving for work, he casually hands Simo a stack of money as a reward for keeping quiet. In reality, he has been testing Simo's loyalty all along. Simo wisely lowers his head, accepts the money without saying a word, and avoids raising any suspicion. Later that night by the lake, Ramona approaches Simo once again. Their playful conversation slowly turns into something much more serious, and the growing attraction between them finally overcomes every boundary. That night marks Simo's first experience of love, while for Ramona, it becomes an escape from years of loneliness and emotional neglect. From then on, whenever Will is away, the secret lovers continue seeing each other in hiding. Sophia eventually discovers their relationship, but she chooses to keep their secret because she genuinely cares about Ramona. At one point, Simo begs Ramona to run away with him, but she refuses in fear. She's convinced that Will's influence is so powerful that he would find them no matter where they went. Then one day, while the two of them are together, disaster strikes. Will returns home much earlier than expected. Sophia spots him first and immediately rushes to warn them. She deliberately delays him outside just long enough for Ramona to slip into the bathroom while Simo escapes through the window at the very last second. Will storms into the mansion, searching frantically for his wife. He throws open the bathroom door and finds Ramona standing beneath the shower. Keeping perfectly calm, she forces a surprised smile and pretends she has no idea why he's home so early. In that instant, Will's anger suddenly fades. At that moment, Simo quietly slips out through the back of the mansion. James spots him escaping, but strangely, he pretends not to notice and says nothing. A few days later, Will throws another outrageous party. Everyone is drunk, and the guests begin encouraging him to force Ramona to dance with James in front of them. Furious and humiliated, Ramona slaps James across the face, the sound echoing through the room. Will completely loses control and starts beating her. Unable to hold himself back any longer, Simo rushes in to defend her. But the guests quickly restrain him. Will is about to finish him off, but after drinking far too much, he suddenly collapses and begins throwing up. James immediately takes advantage of the situation. He secretly helps Simo escape and tells him to disappear and never come back. The following morning, Will apologizes to Ramona. However, blinded by suspicion, he fires Sophia and throws her out of the mansion. As Sophia leaves with a broken heart, she finds Simo waiting outside. Before saying goodbye, she hands him a package from Ramona, a small amount of money and a key to the mansion. That night, Simo sneaks back inside using the key. He overhears Will and Ramona arguing, pulls out a knife, and attacks Will. But Will overpowers him and is about to kill him, until Ramona suddenly intervenes. She stabs her husband several times, killing him and finally freeing herself from his control. Afterward, she and Simo gather the money and flee together by boat. Simo is completely stunned by everything that's happened, but Ramona reassures him that they can finally start a new life together. The next morning, as they reach the shore, they're met with a shocking surprise. Officer James is already waiting for them. Simo freezes in place. Then comes the biggest betrayal of all. Ramona walks away from Simo and goes straight to James. In that instant, Simo realizes the horrifying truth. Everything had been part of a carefully planned scheme between Ramona and James from the very beginning. Their goal was to get rid of Will, steal his fortune, and frame Simo for the entire crime. James kills the helpless young man. As Simo takes his final breaths, Ramona coldly admits that the entire relationship had been nothing more than a game for money. Now that Will is dead, his fortune belongs to her. Sophia eventually returns to work at the mansion. But in the film's final scene, Ramona sits alone in her luxurious home. She takes out Simo's embroidered handkerchief and breaks down in tears. For the first time, genuine regret overwhelms her. She realizes she destroyed the only person who truly loved her and trusted her with his life. And that's how today's story comes to an end. If you enjoyed this movie recap, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos. Before you go, let me know what you think about Ramona. Do you believe her actions reflect who she is as a person, or do you think wealth had nothing to do with the choices she made? See you in the next movie. Take care, everyone.